Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Lawrence. I'm a CSM analyst for FileCloud, and I will be hosting today's webinar on FileCloud end user onboarding. In today's webinar, we will cover the different ways on how a FileCloud end user can access their files in FileCloud and start sharing. So here are the different FileCloud client applications that we will cover in today's webinar. We'll be talking about the web user portal, FileCloud Sync, FileCloud Drive, and the mobile apps. We'll basically start off with the FileCloud web user portal. So you can see here that I have the login screen for the FileCloud web user portal. I'm going to log in with an existing user that I have. So from here, when you log into the web user portal, you can see the web portal dashboard. From the web portal dashboard, you could see the navigation panel on the left hand side, where you can access your files or the folders that you currently have through My Files. From here, you could also access your recent documents, your start documents, your file operations, which basically shows you what are the current activities that's going on in your FileCloud system or in your FileCloud user. So you could be uploading, you could also be downloading files and other activities. From the right panel or from the left hand panel, you could also see your deleted files where you could see your documents that are currently marked for deletion. From here, you can you can restore your file that's already marked for deletion. Now let's go back to the main dashboard where you can see your main folders. So your main folders will be showing up in here. Could be My Files, team folders, network shares, and if you have any folder or file shared with you, you can see a folder called Shared with Me. Yes, we can definitely. Let me show you how you can actually You can actually mark a folder and a file as starred or favorites by putting a star on the left hand side of the file or the item itself. And moving forward, we have here from the main dashboard, you could also see your recent documents and you can also see your start documents. On, on the right hand side, you can see your activities panel. So activities that's related to the user will be showing up on the right hand side. However, when you start navigating and you select a file or a folder that's currently within your main folders, you can now see file or folder details. So from here, you can see when the file has been modified, where the exact path is, and you can also copy the path. You can see what type of permissions is granted for that user for that specific file or folder. You could also manage the share from here, aside from accessing the share from the pop-up panel. You can also see the versions of a file. When you click and manage, from here you can only see one version for this file currently. You could also see a retention policy that's currently being applied to the file, and as well as effective notifications if there's any. You could also see activities for the specific file, metadata that's currently being applied, and you can also add comments to the file itself. So for example, you want to mention a user that you want to call an attention with. So you can type in here test user 01, which is an example that I have, and then you can put in your message and click on add. What happens is is that the file or the user would receive, the other user that you mentioned in the comment would receive a notification from showing in the notification bell on the top. Now, I'm also going to show you how you can access, as a user, access your settings. You can actually click on your username from the upper right hand corner and click on settings. From settings, you can change the language, the date format. You could also change the theme from light to dark. And you could also see your storage quota. From here, you could also see your notifications. If you have any custom notifications for a specific folder that a user have configured, that would be listed on this view right here. Now let's go ahead and start sharing files. So I'll go into one of my team folders here. And I have a test folder. What I want to do here is I'm going to try and upload a file into this directory called, or let's pick up a directory where I have access right now. Let's go into this client directory. So in FileCloud, it's just as easy as uploading, or it's as easy as drag and dropping a file into FileCloud. So let's say, for example, I'm going to look for a file here. I could drag and drop the file over into the web user portal, and that uploads the file into FileCloud. And this is it. Now let's start sharing. So a user can basically hover their mouse over the file or the folder, and if they have share permissions, they should be able to click on the share button here. And this window should come up when they're sharing the file for the first time. By default, the share option should be public. However, the user can click on share options so they can change the share permissions to public or from public to private. You have other option here to allow anyone with the link and the password. Basically, when you select this option, this allows the user to provide a password. You can also specify a different password if you need to. And that would be, and also send an email that includes the share URL from the top and as well as the password that you have indicated. However, a secure way of sharing files and folders would be selecting the third option, which is allow selected users and groups, which will require users to explicitly indicate which email or which user they would need to share the file with. For example, I would need to share a file with this test user. I can type in the email address. This user already exists in my system. And I can just click on add users to the share. This should add the user to the share, as well as you can also add groups. The same way as you would add a user. So you can click on add group, select on everyone here, click on add. And now you can see everyone is listed on the everyone tab. This is the everyone group. And when you go to the users tab, which I will make this one a little bit bigger, by default, users would have, or the items that you've added in here would have view and download privileges. And then you can basically just add the additional permissions like upload, share, sync, if you want to allow them to use the sync application, delete, and as well as manage. For now, I'm just going to set this one with the default permissions. So basically, that's pretty much it for the web user portal. Now let's go and proceed with FileCloud Sync. To start with, you can download the Sync application from our website. You can definitely just type in FileCloud downloads. The first one on the list should be our FileCloud downloads page, or if you go back to the web user portal, you can definitely go to the home dashboard. And up here on the upper right hand corner, when you click on it, it'll give you a link to download the Sync application and the FileCloud Drive application. Let's go ahead and do that one. So from here, it'll bring you to the downloads page. You can navigate from the different types of applications that you can download for FileCloud. What you would be looking for would be FileCloud Sync 2 for Windows, since I'm using a Windows computer. I've already pre-downloaded this yesterday, and I'm going to show you that I'm the files that we have. So I have a FileCloud Sync and a FileCloud Drive installer file, which I've also already installed. You can just run the application and follow the wizard. Once done, you can just type in here Sync or FileCloud Sync on the Start button. Click on FileCloud Sync. They should open the file in the system tray, and you will get this wizard. So this is the FileCloud Sync wizard, which allows you from here to set a sync folder, a specific sync folder where you would want the files to be synced locally. You could also allow or deny remote management, which allows the admin user to set specific configurations to your FileCloud Sync. Now let's go ahead and start with this. On the wizard, it would ask you to enter your server URL. I'm just going to log in with the same user that I was using earlier from the web user portal. Go ahead and click on login. It should proceed to the next window, which would ask you to pick, or this is basically what we call the selective sync. This allows you to select which specific folder that you have access to. Like for example, if we're looking at the web user portal dashboard, you can see that this user have access to my files, team folders, and network shares. If we go back to the sync application, I can definitely pick which folder I would want to sync locally. I could either sync nothing or select the third option, which would allow me to add the folders that I would want to sync locally. So you can see here my files and you can see team folders. However, you do not see network shares because I have this configured to not be able to sync network folders. So for now, I'm going to skip syncing any specific folders and I'm going to select the option for sync nothing and use the document editing mode. I'll click on next. If you notice, I do not have network folders enabled for syncing. The fourth window on the wizard would allow you to set specific folders, or this is what we call endpoint backup, which we're going to be doing a separate webinar anytime soon. This would allow users to be able to back up their files, a local folder on their local machine or their computer, their laptop, or their desktop, and create a backup or sync a backup into the FileCloud server. So if you select the second option, you can pick a folder from either my local drive C or my local drive D. And what I can do here is I could pick a folder. Let's say, for example, let's go for, I'm just going to look for a smaller one. I'll pick the demo folder here. I could schedule a frequency of when this when a backup is being created into the server. I could also enable email notifications once a backup is done, and I'll go ahead and click on backup. For now, I'm going to remove the backup since I'm not going to back up anything, and I'll go ahead and click next. Once done, it will give you this window, and you can also click on the advanced settings. And you will get the sync. This is the FileCloud Sync dashboard. From the dashboard itself, you can access configurations such as changing the sync location. You can also change the upload limits and the rate limits. You could also enable and disable remote management from the main window earlier. You can change the language, proxy settings. You can also set the frequency of how frequent the sync will occur from your sync client. So this is set to 120 seconds, which is about 2 minutes. And other options that you have here, like show notifications and disabling or enabling the doc IQ. You can also see here activities. So when you start syncing, you can see activities such as successful syncs and errors if you have to, or if you have one. And you can also filter the results here for all uploaded, downloaded, and as well as errors. Now, if you go into configuration, you can see here that you have an option to from the window earlier, from the wizard earlier, to create a backup or pick a backup folder. So it's basically the same window that you would see earlier from the wizard. And then lastly, you can go into settings, which is basically what was showing earlier. Let me go back to the dashboard, which I've actually missed. So the dashboard here, you will see that sync is currently off, but I could basically set that one to on. And from here, you can change which folders you would want to sync into your local machine. So the options that I showed you earlier from the wizard can also be accessed from within the dashboard. You could also change your backup folders, or you can set which folders you would want to back up into the FileCloud server. So this is basically it. Another option that you can do from the FileCloud Sync dashboard is open the sync folder. This would basically launch Windows Explorer and would open the sync location that you have set currently. So if you notice here, I have a FileCloud folder under my documents, and I have the same set of folders that I was given access to. Remember that I've disabled network sharing sync, so I would only see my files here, would see the same set of files that I would see from when I'm logged into the web user portal, just like so. I could also go into team folders where I would see folders that I've synced. And that is basically accessing the files from the Windows Explorer. From here, you can also start sharing by basically doing a right click on the file itself, and you'll see FileCloud options. So from here to start, you can click on share FileCloud link, and that would basically open share options, and as well as other options like viewing the properties of the file, view the cloud site. If you want to lock the file for editing, you can also do that one and lock the file for editing. Now let's go into FileCloud Drive. So the same way or the same method as you would install FileCloud Sync, you can download the file from the website or access the FileCloud downloads page from the web user portal. I've already pre-installed the FileCloud Drive, which I could launch from Windows Explorer or from the Start button by typing in FileCloud Drive. And now, with the new user interface, which will actually be released today, you'll get the same wizard now. If you were able to use FileCloud Drive before, we've revised the user interface so it would have the same wizard as the FileCloud Sync. So to start off, you can click on Get Started. And from here, you can log in, which I'm going to use the same user account that I've used earlier. Like so. Second window, it would ask you for the download limit. So FileCloud Drive is only limited to until 100 megabytes of download. We recommend that if you are trying to download huge files, you would be using FileCloud Sync. Now we can go ahead and click next after setting that option. But right now, I'm actually leaving it to the default limit, which is 50 megabytes. Next window should give you the drive settings. From here, you can pick which drive it will be mounted or drive letter the FileCloud Drive will be mounted to. Next is you can also indicate a recovered folder location. The recovered folder location stores failed upload into the FileCloud server. So you can definitely go ahead and select a different one or use the default recovered location for FileCloud Drive. You could also mute your notifications from here, automatically lock Office files if you're editing one, and you could also run FileCloud Drive at Windows Startup. Now I'm leaving everything as default in here. I'm going to go ahead and click Next, and you'll reach this window, and that you will know that you're done with the wizard. You can click on Start Using Drive. Give it a few seconds to connect, and you will notice that the wizard will disappear. What happened here is that I do have it on my other screen, which I'm going to show you, just like so. So this is the FileCloud Drive dashboard. You will be welcome with the activities. So you can see here that we do have a chronological order for the activities. So from here, you can see that the FileCloud Drive is verifying server connection, setting up storage, adding the mount point, which is local drive E, and it's mounting the disk. You can filter the activities, and you can also try searching for specific activities. From here, you have a button called Open Folder. This will launch the FileCloud Drive folder, which you now see if you go into this PC, would show as a mounted drive in Windows. You can click on that folder and it will show you the list of folders as what you would see from the web user portal. If you notice, network shares is now appearing in here because automatically what is granted for you from the web user portal would show up in the FileCloud Drive. From the FileCloud Drive dashboard, you would see your username. You can also launch the web user portal from here, check for updates, open help, or log out the account. You could also see live activities. This is basically similar to your file operations. So if you're trying to download or upload a file in FileCloud, you can see the progress from here. From activities, basically that was the main window that you were seeing earlier. You could also run searches, do a content search as well from FileCloud Drive. You can go ahead and click at hide or show advanced options. You can either search content only. Um, you can pick a date as well. And you can also pick a size if needed. And if you also want to include searching on folders, currently it's currently set to everywhere, but you could also specify which location from your main folders you would want to run the search from. And then start the search. Now let's go to the fourth option or to the fifth, to actually the fourth button here, which is FileCloud Drive settings. From here, you can set again the download limit. You could also enable or disable download limit, which basically sets it to unlimited, which we don't recommend. You could also mute all notifications from here, lock Office files automatically if needed. You could also disable and enable Doc IQ, which I will show you in a bit, run on Windows Startup, and show dashboard on startup. So from here, you'll see buttons like clear cache, get logs, so you can get your log files for FileCloud Drive if needed. You could also clear the cache. So these are caches that are temporarily stored when you open files from the FileCloud Drive interface. And you could also commit pending changes to the server. So this could be pending changes that have not been sent to the server due to disconnection of the FileCloud Drive, or if the user have been disconnected from the network, because the FileCloud Drive application requires users to always be connected real time to the FileCloud server. So now I'm going to go ahead and launch the FileCloud or open FileCloud Drive from the Windows Explorer, which is this one. So from here, I could access my folders and I could simply, let's pick one here that I have access to. Let's go into clients where I've imported a document earlier. I could definitely just right click on the file itself, and then you'll get the FileCloud options. These are the same options that should show up in FileCloud Sync earlier, as what I've mentioned. So you can start with clicking on Share FileCloud Drive link. It will show you these options. So from here, just like what you have access from the same capabilities that you can access as you have from the web user portal should show up for FileCloud Drive. So from here, you can change the share name. You can pick from either doing a public share or a private share. You can edit the permissions that you've granted to the user or the group. You can also email the share link from here. Another option that you can get from FileCloud or from the FileCloud Drive interface is you can view the properties for the document. So from here, you can see the details. Um, you can see the modified date. You can see what permissions is being granted for that user, the metadata that's being applied to that document. And if you have versioning enabled, and if you have versions of the file uploaded into FileCloud, you will see those in here. So how do you use FileCloud aside from sharing? So or how do you use FileCloud Drive for sharing? So you can basically click on share, and it will launch the share permissions window. And then you could also just use FileCloud. You can basically copy and paste a file into the FileCloud folder, and this uploads the file into the FileCloud server. Let's take, for example, I'll get a copy here of a file. See, I have a image here. I can copy that one, and I can go back to my FileCloud Drive folder. See folders here, kinds, and I can upload the folder by basically pasting it or drag and dropping it. Now, what's going to happen here is that this file will be uploaded into the FileCloud server. Shortly, if I go into the web user portal and I go into team folders, I should be able to see the newly uploaded file in here. So the same, it's basically just accessing FileCloud from a different interface. So what's the difference between both the FileCloud Sync? Let me open that one up. And the FileCloud Drive apps. So FileCloud Drive requires real-time access to the FileCloud server. If the user gets disconnected from the network or from the internet, they lose connection from the file or from accessing the FileCloud Drive or the files. On the other hand, for FileCloud Sync, the application allows you to download a copy of the files that you have accessed from the FileCloud server into your local desktop or laptop. So when you might need to disconnect from the network or an unexpected disconnection might happen, you still have access to the files. When the client or when the laptop or the desktop restores connection, FileCloud Sync would just automatically sync the changes into the FileCloud server. Now, lastly, we're going to go and visit mobile apps. For this demo, I only have iOS version of the mobile application. Give me a few minutes. I'm just going to start sharing my screen from my mobile device. Okay, so you guys should now be able to see my screen on my mobile device. Let me go ahead and access FileCloud. So what I'm logging in, I'm actually going to use um, a FileCloud online instance that I currently have, since I was not able to configure my local instance to be accessed from my mobile device. So I'm logging in and putting in the URL. Um, Sorry, I actually type in the correct or the wrong one. Okay, so this should bring me to the login screen once I've entered the correct URL. From here, I'm going to log in with an existing user that I have, which is FC user 01. And I do have a password here and should show me the dashboard. So from what you can see here, the dashboard would still show the main folders, which is my files or team folders. And you could see the recent documents. You could also see your start documents. From here, or from the menu on the top, on the upper, there's a burger menu on the upper left-hand corner. You can see your username. You can go ahead and click on the dashboard again. You can see your recent, your start documents, and you could also see settings. So from settings, you have options or mobile options such as enabling passcodes, enable app integration. I do have synchronization turned off here, which if it's enabled on the server side, this allows you to automatically back up your photos from my iPhone into my files in FileCloud. Now let's go back to the dashboard and show you how you can start sharing files and folders. Let's try and open up a file here. I do have one, which is a training document. This is a Word document that I currently have. I can click on the three dots on the right side of the item, and it will show me options where I could open the file. If I do have Office application app on my mobile device, I can open it from there. I could also download the file. I could start sharing the file, which basically gives me these options. So I could do a public share, which I have disabled for this user. So I could only do a private share, which makes it more secure. I could add a user from here. So I could type in a user. I have an existing one called user 02. Um, Weird that it's not letting me do that one, but you should be able to type in a user and a group as well. So if you can see here, I've selected group. I do have everyone and I was able to add group. I should be able to add group from here. And you can also edit the permissions for this group. So if you want to allow viewing, downloading, and sharing. So these are the capabilities that you can do on the mobile app. You could also copy the share URL if you want to send them through a messenger or through a messenger app. You can do that one as well. And from here, you can also run a search for a file. You could also change the view. So you can run a search for a like a folder here or a file. You could also change the view of the files, just like so. Let's go back to the dashboard. You could also run a search here on the very top. So this is basically your mobile application for FileCloud. Now let's go ahead and try to answer some questions. So I've got a question from Wayne Woodward. The check marks that you were seeing earlier from the icon, this means that these files are actually accessed from the server. So you would know that files, also for FileCloud Sync, you will not notice a lot here. It's because if you remember, I did not have sync enabled or selective sync enabled for FileCloud Sync for my interface earlier. Let me show you. So if I go ahead and click change, I do not have anything here. So nothing is being synced. However, if it's enabled, you'll show check marks of it. just like what you can see here from the Windows Explorer. So I have another question here from one of our participants. What are the minimum hardware requirements for or hard disk or RAM to run the applications? What are the software and operating systems required? What is how secure is the cloud from hackers and malwares? Is community version of FileCloud different from what you're talking here? So let's start off with the minimum requirements. So basically, we have documentations that are available from our website. So you could go into getfilecloud.com/support docs. And from here, you can get information for FileCloud Drive or FileCloud Sync. So when you type in here FileCloud Sync, you can get the results for FileCloud Sync. You'll see the minimum requirements from there. You could also do the same for FileCloud Drive. So, and the operating systems that are supported would also be listed in there. For FileCloud Drive, so far it's only supported with Windows and Mac operating system. Sorry, I'm going to switch sharing of my screen. I apologize for that one. It looks like I still have my phone sharing. My bad. Okay, so I'm gonna go into this is what I was telling you guys earlier. You can go into getfilecloud.com/support docs. From here, you can access information such as minimum requirements and what are the supported operating system for FileCloud. So you can type in here FileCloud Drive. Sorry about that one. And then you can also do the same for FileCloud Sync. So these applications, from what I know, is available for the subscription package, but I could go ahead and check if this is also available with the community edition. I have another question here from Amit. How does the license work per gigabyte or per user? So this is the licensing for FileCloud works per user. So we have a concurrent licensing scheme that and the space that you can allocate for the users by default would be 2 GB of storage quota. This can be decreased and increased, and that can be managed by the admin itself. Do we have any more questions? Oh, by the way, for the communication for FileCloud, both, um, if you noticed earlier, I was trying to access FileCloud through a secure, through SSL. So this is basically encrypting the end-to-end data. So from your mobile device, or could be your FileCloud Sync, could be your FileCloud Drive application. As long as you're accessing the secure URL for your FileCloud server, that should be a level of security. Okay, we still have a few minutes. Anyone else have any more questions? Okay. I have a few questions with regards to pricing. You guys can also visit getfilecloud.com/pricing. This will give you an idea on the pricing for our different offerings for standard and enterprise. By default, for our online subscription, you get a 1 terabyte storage space, and if there are also options to increase the storage if needed. So that 1 terabyte storage for the online instance would include 5 users. I could also, or we could also send out these information through email for all the participants that have registered for this webinar. Yes, we do have partners available in India as well. Okay. Um, if anyone else, you can still raise your questions. We're still open for questions. We still have a couple of minutes left. If all questions had been answered, we would definitely be closing the webinar. And I appreciate everyone's attendance for today's webinar as well.